England's fan club has now entered the building.
Good evening, Hunters.
He did not come alone.
Has he got the dog with him? Good evening, punters. And thank you for your applause. There's still nothing I like more than a warm hand upon my entrance. That's the sort of level I work on, I'm afraid, for the majority of the time. I'm strangely drawn to this punter here. Even at this early stage of the game. Is this your jacket here? It's your denim jacket. In fact, you're a symphony in denim this evening. What's your name? David. It's all warm, this. It's been on your lap, I suppose. What do we think of this? What about this empty seat here? Is no one sitting here? Is there some amusing anecdote attached to someone who was going to sit there? Would you mind if he put his jacket there? Is that all right with you? What was your name? David. I knew it was something nondescript. That's much more comfortable. Would you like to put your jacket over there as well? Although they might get confused, mightn't they? 2 peas in a pod, look. An apple cleft in twain. That's a bit of Shakespeare. Hello. How old are you? 21, really? Quelle surprise. He's a big boy, isn't he? Don't get many of those to the pound. Don't clap on your own, please. Someone will throw you a fish. What was this thrown on stage? Fish fingers. From 7-Eleven. 149, the captain's table. How lovely. One of my hobbies, apart from eating fish fingers thrown at me by deranged punters, is mountaineering. I know it's an unusual hobby. I don't know how I came to be interested in mountaineering. I think I was a very impressionable child. And when Julie Andrews sang Climb Every Mountain, I took her literally. I was halfway up that mountain with a haversack on my back. I think it was a haversack, anyway. The thing is, you want somewhere to keep your billy can, don't you? You want a cup of tea when you get to the top of the mountain. I know I do. I did consider carrying a cup up with me from the bottom. But of course, that's pointless. By the time you reach the top of the mountain, half of it would be in the saucer. So that's no use to anyone. I love that moment, though. I love that moment when you reach the tip of the mountain and the team leader whips his flagpole out. That's if you get that far, of course. I mean, sometimes the mist will descend and you're left there just groping in the dark. Groping in the dark. Just a normal day, really, for me. What's that punter there doing, mincing in at this late hour? I'm afraid you've missed my spectacular opening. If you'll pardon the expression. I'm sorry about this upstairs. I'll be with you in a moment, but this is a bit of an outrage, and I don't think we should let it pass us by. What's your name? Any idea?
It's gone.
It's gone. Rather like your hair, I suppose. Haven't got much hair, have you? With a lovely head of skin. If you don't mind me saying so. Well, huge, this stage, isn't it? Huge. Biggest direction I've ever worked on. Now, there I was one day on the mountain, if you recall, groping in the dark. I heard this disembodied voice. It was the team leader. He said, "We're looking for base camp, Clary." I said, "Well, I found that years ago." So. It's a little known fact, but in 1981, I was the first man to mince up the Matterhorn. A year later, I tackled the difficult north face of the Eiger in slingbacks. Nowadays, I wear these Dr. Martin boots. Can you see, David? I used to wear stiletto heels and slingbacks. I thought about it. I thought, well, that's a bit effeminate, really. No, I think it is. I went to dinner recently with Lord Longford. It's a terrible cough, isn't it? Do you hear that up there? You want to suck a fisherman's friend? If you take my tip. Lord Longford, yes, I was sitting in the restaurant. It wasn't my idea, the whole evening's enterprise wasn't my idea. It was some wacky journalist's idea of an interesting combination of people. And in walked Lord Longford, and so I said, "Good evening, Lord Longford." And he said, "Good evening, Julian." And he breathed on me. It wasn't pleasant. And then, well, he's got terrible halitosis. Let's spell it out quite clearly. Breath like a cat, that man's got. But I thought it's not his fault. He can't help it. I'll just breathe through my mouth all evening. It was not easy when you're trying to eat. I had to take very small mouthfuls for the whole evening, which isn't in my nature at all. I tend to wolf my food down. And then he sat there and he started dribbling all over the table. I thought, well, that's not his fault either. So I just slipped surreptitiously down to ground level, and I slipped a packet of Rothmans under the table leg, so all the dribble went in his direction. Apparently his trousers were soaking wet by the end of the evening, but that's another story entirely. I sat there eating my avocado pear, and before I'd had, for my starter, you know, and before I'd had about 3 mouthfuls, he'd managed to upset me. He started going on about gay people and how he thought of gay people much the same way as he thought of bald people. He said, people struggling through life with a difficult handicap. I was a bit offended, aren't you, on behalf of bald people? I thought you're offending a whole stream of minority groups here in one swoop of green steam from your mouth.